Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, YouTubers. This is Jerry Diamond with How to Get Out of Babylon. Okay, if you think, if you believe that you are the remnant or a survivor, if you want to be a survivor, most people are survivalists, they're not survivors. My brother-in-law said this. He said, in the septic tank of life, there's sinkers and there's floaters, and I'm a floater. And he said that when things like really early on, like 1993, when I just was freaked out about black helicopters and FEMA camps and guillotines and all that good stuff. United Nations stuff, you know. The UN is not your friend. No, they're not. But anyway, I said, man, you better stock up on food. Now, understand this guy was the alpha male at his church. And his reply was, what do I need food for? My neighbor weighs 300 pounds. You know. Another one was, you better get a rifle. And he goes, an assault rifle. And he goes like, what the hell do I need an assault rifle for? I've got a Remington 700 ADL. And I thought about that for about 2 seconds. And I was like, okay. He says, I can get an assault rifle anytime I want one. Meaning, pop somebody. And I've seen him drop 2 deer in about half a second. Dead. I got a shot off. 2 other men were there, did not even get a shot. I dropped down to a rock, got 1 shot off. And I said, hey, I hit 1 deer. And he goes like, right. He says, you fired 1 shot, right? I said, yep. He said, I fired 2 shots, right? I said, yep. He said, they're 2 dead deer, right? Yep. Where did you hit it at? Oh, I don't know. So anyway, in other words, at 100 yards, 200 yards, 300 yards, 2 guys with full auto AK-47s would be dead in about 1 second. Headshots. So anyway, hunters are, snipers. When the FBI went up to Montana, let me tell you a little quick story here, and then I'll get to my physics lesson. When the FBI went up to Montana, I was working on the docks, and people were saying, man, they're going to kill all them people just like they did at Waco. And I said, they will not touch a hair on their heads. And sure enough, they went up there, not in Pazgat armor, not in black helmets, black vests, and fully automatic weapons. They went up there visibly unarmed, with blue windbreakers with white lettering on the back saying FBI, white tennis shoes, blue jeans. Why? Because they were told that if they touched a hair on the head of any of the freemen, that they would be buried there, and they better love Montana because they're going to be looking up at the big sky of Montana forever from their graves if they buried them on their back. And the FBI later told John Trockman, who had printed up a hat which said, my county is protected by 5,000 snipers, the number of registered hunters in the county. True story. Okay, and the head of the FBI, the chief agent in charge, told John Trockman, he says, we were forced to change our rules of engagement. If you're wondering about rules of engagement, just Google it, JFGI, and learn about it, rules of engagement. So, okay, they changed their rules of engagement because of the militia of Montana. They believed that they would be buried there forever if they messed with those people, and they did not mess with them. They left them alone. They came out peacefully. A little bit of microwaving here and there. I think Bo Grice was once again involved, and I probably got microwaved, I think. But anyway, he was the guy that got Weaver out, Randy Weaver. So after they murdered Sammy and murdered his wife, almost hit the baby, and mortally wounded his friend. So if you don't know about that story, learn about it. In the mountains up near Sandpoint, north of Naples, Idaho, eagles gathered there together to guard the truth that you might know. Up near at the turn that crossed the bridge, federal marshals set up a roadblock. Had the siege of Ruby Ridge. Anyway, Carl Klang, look it up, listen to it. So, inclined plane, this is your physics lesson for the day. I want to move that thing. Just swing it toward me. It's frozen to the ground. So I dug a hole on the back side of that tire, and I dug a hole on the front side of that tire. And the plate that you put the wood on is frozen. I dug that out and pried it up a little bit. And now, behind that tarp billboard sign, which you can't get anymore, if you see billboard signs at Amish places or whatever, grab them. I got these for $30, 14 by 48, one heck of a lot of shelter for firewood or whatever, or log splitter, $22,000 log splitter. So I want to move that. So I have a block under there, you can barely see it under there, and I'm going to use that 2x4 to move it sideways. All right, thank you. And let me see here, how do you rephrase this? This is Jerry Diamond. If you're the remnant, you're listening to me. Or if you think you're the remnant, if you're listening to me, you're the remnant. If you're listening and hearing and listening, so I'm changing a little bit. Swapping around. Apologies to John Connor and Terminator, Sarah Connor. Yep, Sarah Connor. I am Sarah Connor. I am. We're going to be faced with that stuff. You look at them robots that can jump up on a 4 foot up in the air and land flat on the big heavy box and probably weighs 300, 400, 500 pounds. Do a backflip off of it, land on its feet perfectly. Put a machine gun in that thing's hand with about 2,000 rounds. You could, the thing could probably carry 500 pounds of ammo easily, maybe 1,000. And fire a machine gun accurately. Watch Judge Dredd. No, RoboCop. And Terminator and Star Wars, the Imperial Walkers and stuff like that. I never thought we'd be faced with all that stuff. It was just science fiction. No, it's not science fiction. It's real. All right. And remember this. Anything that you've heard of, they're 15 years ahead of that. You know, when did you first hear about the SR-71 Blackbird? Oh, I don't know, 1980 or something like that. They started building it in 1949, 5 years before I was born. Yep. That's when they started building it. So, alrighty. This is Jerry Diamond. You're the remnant, if you're listening to me. Learn some basic freaking physics, people. An inclined plane. I talked about that the other day, the ramp to my door. I'm going to break the block out when it gets unfrozen and move the ramp over so it goes right into the door instead of having to go sideways. But inclined plane. Don't reinvent the wheel. Don't reinvent the inclined plane. Use the wheel. Use the inclined plane. A wheelbarrow can haul 500 pounds of stuff in it. You know, barrel dollies, 500 pound, a drum full of water is 500 pounds, whatever. There's so many things that you can be using. I'm going to use who was it? Archimedes. Give me a lever and fulcrum and I can move the earth. Yep. Well, sorry, buddy. I don't make them that big. All right. See ya. Bye-bye. I'll walk around to the backside then. I'm going to finish this one because I'm running out of daylight. And the geese are honking. Okay. So there's a block under there. And I'm going to use a 2x4 to move it. All right. See ya. Bye-bye.